Hey guys, it's Joe the Android Guy. In our recent video, we showed you the unboxing of the Motorola Droid 4. In this video, let's take a hardware walk around and see what the first boot looks like. Okay, so let's take a look at the Motorola Droid 4 from Verizon. This is the phone. We haven't booted it up yet. We haven't even finished taking all of the plastic off, but let's look at it and see what it comes with. First and foremost, this fits very nicely in hand. We've got a 4-inch QHD display. Now this means it's 960 by 540, so not quite, high definition, but still very nice, very high quality screen is what we've come to expect out of this. On the back, we've got the Motorola logo, Verizon, and the fact that this is 4G LTE. We've got a speaker. This back is also relatively textured, so it has a nice tack to it. It feels really grippy in hand. Up at the top, we've got a 1080p capable camera with flash. This is an 8 megapixel still camera, by the way. On the top, we've got our headset jack and our power button, and what looks like it might be a little mic up at the top. On the side, we've got our volume rocker. Now that's over here underneath the index finger. On the front, it tells you that that's your volume up and down. It also doubles as a zoom. On the front, we have another camera. Now that is a 1.3 megapixel front-facing camera. We've got our main headset speaker there. It also tells you that the power lock and headset are in the front. There's our screen. On the bottom, we have actual real buttons. So not ice cream sandwich on this yet. We have a search button, back, home, and menu with some Verizon branding. Again, this comes off, and we'll take that off here in just a little bit. We've got our micro USB connector over on the side, and our HDMI connector on the side as well. So looking at that side, that's the only thing that's on that side. It does have a little bit of a bump out there to accommodate them rather than the nice rounded area. But since that's down here in your palm, you're not going to notice it. It's not going to be a problem. Then of course you've got your voice mic down at the bottom. So that's the walk around of the phone. This phone, however, you'll notice how thick that is relatively. Let's compare that to the Galaxy Nexus. You can see that it's a little bit shorter, quite a bit thicker. Compare it that way. In some places about double the thickness. All right. We'll set the Nexus aside. Now, looking at this, the reason it's so thick is it has a slide-out keyboard. Now, that sliding mechanism is a little bit stiff right now. Part of that is because of this back sheet of plastic, which is kind of difficult to remove, actually. Go ahead and take that off and set it aside. So you've got a nice mirror finish back there, just kind of unusual. But that's why you've got that really, really sticky protective film on it. We'll take the protective film off the front as well. And now we've got this keyboard. The keys are very responsive, and they have a nice ergonomic layout. Some of the other keyboards that we've seen, like on the Epic 4G, have just a square grid that's kind of hard to get to things. It's not that ergonomic. This one has a nice layout like that. You've even got a directional pad down there as well. So overall, it looks pretty good. We'll see how it behaves. Let's go ahead and boot it up for the first time. Push and hold the power button. Now this is a dual core processor, a 1.2. It does come with Android 2.3.5, which is gingerbread. It's got Bluetooth, of course, Wi-Fi, B, G, and N. 5-row keyboard, like we mentioned. Then, of course, we expect it to be every bit as good as the previous Droids before it. The nice Droid logo here in the middle with the Droid audio sound to welcome you, that nice trademarked sound. Now, I'm feeling a few little vibrations from the motor inside of it as it's booting up. And this is likely going to take just a minute to get to, of course, this. Now up at the top, we're preparing the internal storage. I don't have any external storage, but it does accept a 32 gig card. Go ahead and tap the Droid to continue. This, of course, because it's a CDMA phone, it has to take a little while to activate the phone on the CDMA network. Sometimes that can take a few minutes, other times not. I'm going to go ahead and say OK, select my Wi-Fi. I'll type in this password using the awesome keyboard, and I'll do that off camera here. So I've typed in the password and connected, and we'll go back to the phone setup. Now, part of the reason I do that is because in my area, my Wi-Fi is significantly faster than 4G. So I like doing that. As it's pulling data down, I can get it quicker and without gobbling up my precious data from my carrier. Now, that doesn't really matter if you have an unlimited plan, but if you don't want to be throttled, setting up a phone for the first time usually entails an awful lot of downloads. I mean, in my case, I'm downloading about 100 apps. If they're 2-3 megabytes each, that's 300 megabytes that I'm pulling down over my data network. So I'm going to go ahead and let this go and grab a hold of this, activate with the Verizon network, and we'll pick right back there where we left off. All right, the phone activated and it asked me to restart, and now I'm back at the Touch the Droid to begin. So we'll go ahead and do that. Add a Google account. Go ahead and do that as well. I'll sign in, type in my username with this nice keyboard, and with the limited use that I've had of the keyboard, I'm relatively impressed with it. Having a little bit of a hard time finding the @ symbol and typing off camera here. It's nice having a 5th row because you have your numbers up on the top, and it's kind of easy to get that in there. So what you're basically accustomed to, backup and restore, we want to go ahead and do that. This usually takes just a minute to go through and do. Okay, we've added the Google account. We're done. We'll hit finish. It's now setting up our backup assistant, which is something that the Motorola Droids have that some other phones do not. It's communicating with the server, which is taking a little bit of time. Again, where I am, I'm connected to 3G with relatively strong bars and full bars on my Wi-Fi, or all but full bars. Just got some new email coming through with a nice trademark Droid audio announcement there. And it's going through and syncing the rest of my stuff. Now, I really don't want to do this right now, so I'm going to skip it. It tells me, are you sure you want to? Yes, I want to skip for now. You probably don't want to. You probably want to go through and set all of that up, and I'd recommend it because if you lose your phone, pictures and whatnot, you're not going to be able to get back unless you've synced them somewhere. I use Google Plus to automatically synchronize my pictures up to the cloud, but this is something else you could do. Now, we've shown you this on other things, like the Droid Razor, for example, has this account setup screen, and it has an awful lot of accounts that you can set up. Very nice. It's all in one place. We're not going to set anything up here because it's just inputting credentials, and that's kind of boring for you to watch. But we'll go ahead and continue. Now, next is our privacy caution and data use, and this just warns you that, hey, it's got GPS and stuff in here, so you might actually be telling people where you are. Yeah, we kind of know that, but it warns you anyway. And we'll go ahead and say next to that. We'll consent to all 3 of these if it wants to accept that. Agree, agree, and agree. So all 3 of the location options. So some videos, again, we showed you this with the Razor. You can see a basic setup and how to use your phone video, which is really neat, kind of a tutorial to show you how to use your phone. My Verizon mobile video, and of course just any additional videos. Go ahead and take a look at that and just see how it looks really quick. How to set up Bluetooth using the Android market and web browsing. Okay, great. We're not going to watch any of those. We'll go ahead and finish and say done. We're getting really close to being able to use our phone for the first time. Next thing we have is just kind of a brief tutorial. It tells you about notifications, how they're up here, touch and hold, and options menu. Now, of course, this is something that you can tap and get instructions right there on screen. So if you're unfamiliar with Droid or with Android itself, you can learn how to use it really quick. So there you go. I've got everything set up. I've got my Droid 4 wallpaper logo. Really nice scrolling, and it's kind of already set up some of my favorite people that I can pull down to show who they are, pull up to close. Again, very fast and very fluid. So really kind of cool. So there's kind of a hardware walk around and a first boot. It did take a little bit of time, but nothing that we're not accustomed to with a CDMA device like this. Of course, we love the Droid family, and we'll be impressed to show you the full review and get that all posted up at Pocketnow in a few days, as soon as we have, well, honestly, a few days with the phone in hand, so we can tell you how it works in the real world, what we like about it, what we don't like about it, its pros and cons and whatnot. So next video up is going to be a video demo of the camera. Again, 1080p HD video camera in there, 8 megapixels still. So we'll go ahead and get those pictures posted up to the YouTube channel as soon as we can. For Pocketnow, showing off the Motorola Droid 4 by Verizon, I'm Joe the Android Guy.